Lots happened in this past week leading up to the proposed summit between the United States and North Korea. There have been reports that North Korea might pull out of that meeting.
Well, nothing has changed on North Korea that we know of. We have not been told anything, and if it does, that's fine. If it doesn't, I think we'll probably have a very successful meeting, but we have not been told anything. We're just reading stories like you are. We've heard certain things from South Korea, but we'll see what happens. If the meeting happens, it happens, and if it doesn't, we go on to the next step.
Kind of an eye-opening change over the last couple of days. Joining us this morning is Olivia Enos. She is with the Asian Studies Center at the Heritage Foundation. We thank you so much for coming in to talk to us. So, Olivia, what happened here? We were so, linked in arms and buddy-buddy with our new friend North Korea that this kind of took people as a bit of a shock this week that all of a sudden North Koreans talking about maybe pulling out of this. What happened?
I think the burning question on everybody's minds is, are we actually going to have this summit? And we see now President Trump kind of throwing his hands up in the air and saying, we don't know. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. I think the most important thing, though, going forward is that the Trump administration, if we are going to have a summit, make clear what the demands are, what the strategy is. Right now, it's been primarily a focus on denuclearization. But frankly, Tom, I think it would be an incomplete strategy to not also raise human rights if we are going to have this summit.
That's something that has been absent from the United States side of the dialogue, publicly at least so far, as the human rights aspect of all of this. It all seemed to be going a little too quickly and a little too well. What's going on with the North Koreans that would take them to have pause on this right now, especially when it comes to the nuclear question, which is something that we seem to thought we were making progress on when they announced they were going to end their testing program, put concrete down on their testing site? What happened inside North Korea that is causing them to step back?
Well, I think this is a typical play out of the North Korean playbook. Oftentimes, they'll come forward with promises saying, we're going to denuclearize. Or, as we saw earlier this year, they were saying, we don't mind if the U.S. and South Korea engage in these joint military exercises. But now they're making a big stink out of it. And in my opinion, this is a part of North Korea's negotiating strategy. It's an attempt by Kim Jong-un himself to set the agenda for the upcoming summit. But the reality is that North Korea cannot and should not be the one setting the agenda. And frankly, U.S. policy in the Asia region shouldn't just be predicated on dealing with North Korea. It should be looking at what our allies really, really want and need.
In his short time at state, we have a Secretary of State now who has met twice with Kim Jong-un. He probably has rapidly risen to the top of the list of people who know something about this individual. But on the other hand, we have John Bolton, the new national security advisor, who was called out by name by the North Koreans this week. Is this a good cop, bad cop strategy we're seeing now deployed by the White House, intentional or not?
It's possible that they are using a good cop, bad cop strategy. I think it'll be sort of interesting going forward to see if there is a more unifying message. I mean, it's very clear that the U.S. is looking for complete, verifiable, irreversible dismantlement of North Korea's nuclear program. And I think it's good to play sort of both sides of the coin. But again, I really think that there are other issues that need to be in play because our North Korea policy has to be about more than just denuclearizing. It needs to be about reforming the country in general.
What do they want on their end? We want denuclearization. What do they want?
I think this is the really, really tricky part because I think what North Korea wants out of this summit is legitimacy. They want to be viewed as a respectable country, and the U.S. needs to communicate to Kim Jong-un that he cannot be viewed respectably if he continues to test missiles, continues to test his nuclear program, and continues to abuse his people in the way that he does. There are 80,000 to 120,000 individuals in political prison camps in North Korea. These are near-death situations. That's not a respectable leader.
On a sidebar, there was much news made this week when the president announced he was going to take some efforts to get a Chinese company back in business. Some viewed that as a possibility of having a factor in on the North Korean negotiation. How closely are those two linked? This Chinese job program that the president mentioned and getting China to help out with these North Korean negotiations?
Well, obviously, Kim Jong-un has been meeting with China quite a bit, and China remains an ally to North Korea. I'm not sure how interconnected those economic issues are with some of the negotiations with North Korea, but I think it is critical that the U.S. sort of get China on the same page, and also that the Trump administration continue to maintain its policy of maximum pressure toward North Korea, which it would be helpful if the Chinese got on board with.
It raised some eyebrows, though, because as you know, the president, went around campaigning, talking about starting jobs in America, and then to come out and talk about making sure there were jobs in China. There could be some other reasons why we are looking at the Chinese job situation.
Yeah, well, I think our Asia policy has to be about more than just countering the North Korean threat. That's obviously one of the top priorities, but China remains sort of an important economic partner as well. So we're trying to sort of work out where that's going to go.
Olivia Enos from the Heritage Foundation, we appreciate you coming in and discussing North Korea. Changes every week, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
All right, we got more to talk about here on Fox 5 News on the Hill. Up next.